Hello everybody, Adam Steele here. Hope you're all doing marvellously well, as Warren would say. Today's podcast on Behind Music Tech is a real up-and-coming, interesting character, shall we say. Chris Jupiter from the manufacturer pedal company, JPTR FX. They make some of the wildest distortion and fuzz pedals and all sorts of weird and wonderful pedals and amps now that are ridiculously high-powered. And they've gone in a couple of years from this tiny little upstart to a serious force to be reckoned with. And so I got to sit down at 42 Gear Street with Chris Jupiter, CEO and main man of JPTR FX, and we had a good discussion. So check out the podcast if you're listening to this on Ep.3. Check the video version on my channel. If you're watching this in video form on my channel, check out the Ep.3 version through iTunes on the Produce Like a Pro podcast. Without further ado, Chris Jupiter. Today's interview, we have Chris Jupiter from JPTR FX.
Hey.
And I think it's fair to say you've become very much infamous in the pedal world recently with your crazy designs. How did you even get into pedals at all? Let's start from the start. So you kind of were into noise rock and then...
I started with Nirvana, like listen Pumpkins Nirvana. It's kinda have noise rock elements. I started soldering where I was like 16 with my first guitar that was red. And I played metal back then. A red guitar is not cool in metal band. So I painted it black in my kids' room. And then I had to figure out how to get the cables back in. My parents said, we get your solar iron, don't kill yourself. But I tried. Times without internet. I didn't do it right, of course.
Yeah.
But I learned it. Then we had a guitar shop in our hometown. They teach me a bit to solder. After that, I started to work on pedals or repair pedals for friends, like repair the guitar jack. And I became the guy that you call or ask for like small repairs.
Okay.
And then I started with like kids, but it was like 18, it's like almost 15 years ago. And I started with kids, and then I looked up on the internet to see how get more bass, get more gain, whatever.
Okay.
And I did that for like 10 years and had like awful jobs doing that, but never trusted myself to like get money from my things that I built.
Okay.
But in that time I played in a band called Schwerkraft.
Right.
Like heavy craft, Schwerkraft,
Nice.
also the gravity. And I built my whole pedal board because I was jobless at that time.
Okay.
Can't afford like 10 pedals and amps and everything. So I built it all myself.
Built them. Yeah.
Yeah. And because I did stuff sometimes wrong, sometimes I got new things. Like pedals that are so thin sounding that you have them for like an intro. Or like behind a big pedal so you can like filter for a second part, like for two notes, da da da, da 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 da, you know?
Yeah.
And I was doing that, and then some stranger after a concert came to me and was like, I need the pedal, can you build me one? And I was like, no, it's my sound. And I told that to a friend where I was like totally proud because I said, no, you know, I'm so punk rock. And he said, are you stupid? You have to find a new job. And then you go to a call center job, whatever, and someone is basically throwing money at you for your art, and you say no. I was like, and that day I started a Facebook group.
Right.
Started a Facebook group and was like, okay, the easiest pedal I can build that won't tell all my secrets was a feedback looper where you can put pedals in and route them back into each other, and some Big Muff mods, some Line 6 DL4 mods. And then I closed the laptop, opened it up next morning, and had like 60 orders.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was the time before everyone and their mother building pedals. You know, it was like two or three people in Germany building pedals, not even professional.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was like Orion Effector, KMA, and me, and I was like here, and they were
Yeah.
because they started like 2 years or 3 years earlier, and Orion Effector did like 10 years later. You know, he makes all the indie German bands, blackmail, whatever. And then I saw that my kind of way of doing things, where I was always a bit ashamed of, was like doing the right thing with it. And then I said, you know, let's do whatever we want. And I just did that, and people liked that because it's different. And you don't get like a different clone and different clone. It's like I need the most heavy sound possible, like cartoonish heavy.
Yeah.
I got someone for that, you know? And then started.
Well, that makes a lot of sense that you found out that this is what I want to do that's different to everybody.
Yeah.
But it's still accessible enough that, I mean, some of the pedals, like the newest one, they're not the Mayo, they're the Catastrophe. We did a video yesterday with that where we got some really nice blues sounds from it. So it's versatile, it's not just crazy, but it can do crazy too.
I would consider myself as audiophile. I'm into vinyl and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And an extreme pedal has to be useful extreme.
Yes.
When you dial everything on 10, you need the everything on 10 sound. Got it. But I would not buy a pedal that's just doing one thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Of course.
If I play like today in a death metal band and 6 years later I play like stoner rock, blues rock, whatever, it's cool to have still the same pedals that you can trust, that you know what they're doing, so you dial back a bit of this and that, still have the pedal. And that's my thought of designing things. Super less noise floor, but the maximum amount of gain that you can dial them back, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, I want to make like push boundaries, but there's a way to the boundary, you know?
The first time we met was 2 years ago here, and you just made the Jive, I think was kind of the big pedal then.
Still is.
Yeah. Was that, you say it was based on a cassette machine or a projector or something?
Not circuit-wise, to be honest. But JFETs work kinda sound-wise similar to like tubes and the big machines with big trafos. They have very high headroom. They clip in a certain way that old machines also do.
Okay.
And I have an Akai tape machine that is insane on drums. Like just a preamp, you just route into the inputs and then from the headphones jack out back to the interface. And then and it sounds so fat and gluey and whatever. And I thought I should make a pedal that is kinda this way.
Yeah.
So I looked up circuits, like what do other pedal builders do? And I found a circuit that does that. And then I added just headroom and certain clipping. So I made it to be not exactly like my Akai, but doing the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It does have the switches for the options, like the clip.
I added stuff then later because it was a cool option to have. Like totally distorted with the clipping diodes.
Yeah.
Do you have a Jive?
Yeah, I've got a
Try it on drums.
I'll give it a go.
Like start with the gain at 0.
Yeah.
And then a drum fill like outro, and then on the master just adding distortion, like the tape would be destroyed. It sounds so good.
I'll give it a try. It's actually very common for me to get a heavy compression, distortion, and blend that in with the drums. So.
Yeah, on the master, like the whole thing.
On the whole thing.
Yeah, and then it's a perfect song ender.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll check that out for sure. Yeah, it's taken a long time with a big load of product development. You've got a whole board of pedals that you brought now, and it's taken this long for you to do something that I would consider as almost traditional with the Mayo. It's still not traditional because
No.
it's your take, but it's not a tube screamer.
No.
Not a tube screamer. But for a lot of guys who use something like that in front of an amp to clean up the response,
Yeah.
it's interesting to see your take on it, where it's like the boost, the output volume can go to crazy.
Sometimes you need less in front of an amp, and mostly pedal guys don't get that. They search for the biggest whatever fuzz to make the sound super huge. But if you got a super huge pedal sound that you want to push in an amp, you will lose a lot of highs, mids, bass, whatever, and then you get just mush.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to cut things to make it then louder just on the amp, and then just dial them in just a bit of bass, resonance, whatever. Sometimes you have to start with making things super loud and then go back, you know?
Yeah.
And then the thinnest signal is the guitar,
Yeah.
you know?
I suppose then there's room for everybody else in the band as well, depending on who's in the band.
Yeah, you have what you want, and even better, but you have to think about it in the reverse way, you know? Make the amp loud first and not the pedal set in first.
Talking of making the amp loud first, that is a perfect transition to talk about that. Again, first time that we met, you just started making a prototype of an amp. It was like 200 watt amp. That was the original Omacht.
Yeah, 150.
150,
Yeah,
right.
150.
And so that was a glorious amp, and we all wanted to try it because it was so different from everything.
Yeah.
And that's something that's progressed. So now is there still an Omacht, or is it just
No.
This is the Titan?
No. We wanted to make. It was a Model T clone, by the way. It was a Model T with more power, more headroom, bigger transformers. And then I thought it's a cool amp, but I wanted to make like a high air gain amp, like a JCM 800 Soldano thing. And then we modded the Omacht, but it was still too slow.
Okay.
It's a cool amp for like heavy sounds, but not like da 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 heavy. And so we switched up things, and I had a new amp designer, and I was like showing all the amps that I have. I was like taking notes. I like when I do this on this amp, it makes this thing. Okay, noticed. I like the power of this amp, noticed. I like the resonance peak if I do the barking thing, if I do,
Yeah.
you know? Okay, noticed. I like the cleanness when I do like open chords on this one. Okay, noticed. Then we checked, what do these amps have in common? Finds out almost everything was like a JCM 800 circuit, but like with different input, bigger and smaller, and different gain stacking. So we decided to make our own and added 250 watts.
Because of course you did. That's funny to me that you arrived at JCM 800, because there's so many of the modern rock and metal sounds. They're like a modified JCM 800.
Yeah.
Maybe it's an accident, but they got the kind of the perfect original core tone.
No, they didn't got the perfect one. They just got something cool, and then the music around shaped, you know?
Right.
It's like cool because everyone that you think it's cool using it. Like old cars, they're not like designed good. They're actually designed very poorly.
Sure.
But you know them from movies and whatever, and that's why you like them.
Right.
Because they look cool or like sounding cool. And that's the same with amps. Like a Plexi and two 4x12s are not practical. And basically in like terms of audio quality, they sound like shit, you know? But for for us as guitarists, they sound like pure heaven.
Yes.
Because we are thinking that this is the sound a guitar must sound.
Whatever will Chris Jupiter say next? Clickbait, dun dun dun. Find out at the Produce Like a Pro podcast on iTunes. Subscribe to the Produce Like a Pro channel. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, that's Adam Steele, Hot Pole Studios. Go and check that out. Without further ado, here's more of Chris. There is a lot of nostalgia, I think, with those old amps, where you're right, from a technical perspective, they're pretty bad. I mean, for 100 watts, they're not really very loud. And people say, "Oh, they're really loud." Yeah, not for 100 watts.
Yeah.
But
It's just compression.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it is funny how then, let's say, that from there it was kind of went to the modded to the Soldano, to the dual rectifier. That was one direction that music went with that design.
Just gain stacking. We
Yeah.
did it in the M2. It was like, I need the gain of a Soldano or VH4. And then we did that, but it was like too much because you can't use like pedals like the Catastrophe in front anymore. It was like, if I do an amp, there have to be like at least 4 pedals at the same time handling it. That's why it has so many watts.
Right, okay. So with the Titan, you kind of, not relying on the power stage anymore.
Yeah, it just delivers. Like reverb and delay in front of a dirty amp, normally it sounds like,
Yeah.
but it sounds still like this distorted delay, but you can hear everything from the signal because it has so much power, like it delivers.
That's just a really interesting way of
It's
looking
like
at it.
it's like ordering 10 pizzas but you only serve on this size of table. Won't fit. They just fall over to the sides.
Right.
But if you have like a way bigger table, there's no place to put the pizzas on there. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's the headroom thing,
Yeah.
isn't it? That's like, especially with, it's funny that I think a lot of bands think that loud music means that the amp has to be on maximum.
No.
That's, if you just get a louder amp,
Yeah.
then you can have the amp do what you want.
Yeah.
But then there are bands like, I don't know, Boris and guys like that. I know you've done some stuff for them.
They use my pedals.
Yeah. But those guys do, they're part of a very small minority of bands that will have the amp on 10. That's their thing,
Yeah.
I think. But that's,
They don't use amps on 10, by the way.
no?
No. It's not show, of course. Yeah, it's not how loud it is, it's how wide it is.
Okay.
That's why they use not only amps on like higher volume, they use like multiple amps set to a high volume, not evil high, just like it's loud, cool, get it, but like 3 amps at the same time and then mix them to like cleaner with more bass and dirtier with more mids and like whatever for delays.
That makes a lot of sense.
So the sound is super wide. Doom is not just, it isn't about loudness, it's about fullness. It's like the body.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I should read up more on Doom stuff. I do like it, but I was the Nirvana kid growing up as well, and Nevermind, the album. You know, some of those they've got like 5 amps on a track, that kind of thing, and it sounds like it's full.
Yeah.
And now that I've done my reading, it turns out one of them was just a small amp that was just killed, and the others were like big Fenders or big Marshalls that were just like not crazy loud.
Yeah.
It's fascinating how that blend can really affect.
Do you have to check out the band Nothing if you like Nirvana?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll
We
check them out.
kind of endorsed them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're working on a signature pedal with them. Woohoo! It's like the Nirvana vibe, but in shoegaze, like modern shoegaze, neo shoegaze. It's like a hardcore drummer, like really heavy drumming.
Okay.
Cool stuff. Sent you.
Yeah. I think we talked about Nothing because another thing that you may not know if you're listening to this is that me and Chris have worked together before because I really like Wallow, your band, so I mixed the first EP and you sent me them as a reference. I think
Yes.
it's like I really like these guys, which helped me to understand where to go with the music.
Yeah, just to understand, if we record something, what should we do? Like mostly you think about shoegaze or whatever, the reverb needs to be like this long for the vocals and the drums has to be like a bit reverby. No, they don't.
No, and that really interested me because I always assume shoegaze is there's some music inside this reverb somewhere.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be.
No. It's multiple instruments doing certain things. So the reverby part does only the reverby part, and the other guitarist, like I'm the rhythm guitarist, I use no reverb at all.
Huh.
Just the delay to glue things a bit together. And that's it. And my other guitarist is lead and playing like tons of reverb and modulation, whatever. But he just plays like tiny notes, and I play the riffs like.
Yeah, the big scary stuff.
Yeah.
And of course, the bass for the last thing we did was very big and fuzzy as well. It had the big
Split it, yeah.
brr kind of thing. I mean, are you considering doing kind of guitar bass stuff, or do you need to? Because all your pedals, they do kind of cover a lot of ground.
The Katastrophe is also a perfect bass preamp because the mids, and if you use the low cut right, you can cut the lows super hard, so you only have mids and highs for the distortion.
Okay.
When you open up the pedal, you have a clean volume. Turn it up. If you like have a bit clean high clang in it, leave it like it is. If not, if you only want to use the clean bass part, you have like 2 switches to dial the highs down. So you have the highs from the Katastrophe and the lows from there. And also you can then boost the bass from EQ wise, you know?
Yeah.
Do you have a Katastrophe?
No, I don't have one. That's about the only pedal I don't have of yours. Shit, I've got everything lined up on my mix rack. It's funny because I always laugh because I think, hey, I've got this nice delay with a fuzz. I've got this nice reverb with a fuzz.
Yeah.
Is there anything at
It's an inside joke. Like the 80 dB clean boost.
Yeah.
Yeah. At some point I will leave some 80 dB boost.
We were joking about that this morning, saying that you don't need a speaker with that. You just have another cable and just hold it in the air. Yeah. Bzz. But yeah, so you say you've got these signature things coming out with nothing. This isn't going out for a little while, so we
Yeah,
can
good.
hold that out. Is there anything else you got planned that's nearly ready, or that you can't talk about?
Do you know from Marvel movies, the Spider-Man actor is like telling always like the plots before the movie came out, and I'm a bit like that, so I passed this question. But yes, of course, 4 new pedals maybe next year.
Right.
But I do it slower now.
Right.
I don't have to rush it anymore. We do like special editions. We do like shrunk the Tesla, make the Wallow filter options. We do that now.
Right.
To make not better, but stuff involves. And I think it's sad when I'm just like, okay, this is finished. We can sell it, of course.
Yeah.
But 2 years later, I think it would be so awesome if there was an octave setting for this one, because it sounds so good with like a filter that can do this and this. So we make options, and now we have the mayonnaise. And yeah, next year I have plans for like 4 new pedals we are working on, and I have plans for like,
Yeah, loads, of course. I mean, as a designer, you're always going to design. But do you think that's changed as well with the big success that you guys have had? Because now you've got new staff who, if you can now say, you guys build the production run, I'm going to sit and think for a while.
Don't have time for that. But I do a lot of emails, packing, helping, supporting, ordering new parts, figure things out, customs. Calling customs is an hour a day for customers because they refuse to call their own customs. But you order a boutique pedal, so you get a boutique service. You know?
Yeah.
And ordering stuff is like 2 hours a day, just ordering parts. Yeah.
That's crazy. But it is interesting how everything changes as the team gets bigger. You're not the only person that I've talked to this week that said that as their companies got bigger or they've changed, they end up doing far more business, and they really want to do more of the work again.
To be honest, I like to not solder anymore all day. I help when like a dealer order gets in, we need to like we have our pedals that we have to make, but then it's like we need 50 more, you know?
Yeah, okay.
Because big dealer order, first time order, then You won't say, yeah, 3 weeks. You would say,
Yeah.
of course. But you still want the other customers not to be waiting. So we have 3 people soldering then, and I'm one of them.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
But in a normal day situation where we just build the orders and fill the shelves, it's just Liz that is now full-time, and Felix is testing and putting backplates on, putting the screws on, box them up. So they can work and chill, and I have all the stress on me and like the emails.
Yeah.
But I like not to solder anymore all the time, because it's not like creativity work. It's like if you like to paint like an artist,
Yeah. You
when
don't
you
paint the same thing 50, 100 times.
you aren't a flat painter, you know, like a building. Like it's like, and if you build like pedals all the time, I mean, we build like 60 to 100 a week. No, it's not just like I'm testing something and oh, it sounds so good. It's like
Go, 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 go.
no, not that, not rushing, but I test sometimes 100 pedals a day, and it's just like strumming 3 chords. Everything works, cool. Then playing a bit. Okay, next one, and that's not the fun side anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that now I don't have to work like 24 hours in the shop, but I can like go home earlier, take care of my relationship and my dog, spend like 3 hours in the garden with girlfriend and dog, and then emails, business again.
Yeah.
Till I fell asleep, you know?
I mean, I laugh because it's the same for me.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I've spent time with my daughter and my wife. Right, back to work.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the price we pay for being able to do exactly what we want to do, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm basically free but on chains.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. It sounds I won't complain, because the most horrible situation would be for me to have a normal job and don't be the free. I can work. I'm not socially working.
Yeah.
When someone is telling me don't smoke at work, I will like get 3 cigarettes out just to annoy.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like that, and I can't do anything about it. And if I do, like, I can't pressure it down, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't care how much stress I have now or whatever. It's like winning in a lottery.
Yeah.
Sorry that you have to pick up the money for that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
It's your stress.
yeah.
Yeah. It's so interesting listening to what you're saying compared to some of the guys from the bigger companies who also enjoy their jobs, but it's a very different thing because they have a boss who has a boss who has a boss.
Yeah.
And you've said, okay, now I want to make amps. You can make amps.
Yes,
Now I want to make a pedal called the mayonnaise.
I do it.
I can do that.
I can do that. But you have to fear a lot of financial things also, because every decision could be a bad decision that can basically ruin you.
Yeah.
So it's not like, ha ha ha, I'm the clone all day, let's do fuzz pedals. It's like, we need to design something that will people buy, you know? Still. And we discontinued a few pedals along the line, like the ramrod, because people won't get it. The Roigbiff was too this and that for some people. They don't understand why a chorus has to have a white noise generator, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's cool, you know?
Yeah. That thing was intense. Let's put it that way. But yeah, it's really good to see that you've flourished under the pressure of the success as well. So the first time we met, I think you were getting some kind of underground success. A few people, the cool kids, were talking about it. But then we did all the videos at Gear Street 2, and something that I mentioned to to Henning is I think that kind of that really helped the next stage that
Yeah.
started the next people talking
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't that long after that the whole you ended up with the JHS feature.
Yes.
And I'm guessing that was a big thing
Yeah.
because I remember you
Super
saying-
big. And we had like 600 sales on like 1 week. Yeah.
for a company your size, that's a lot. You're still alive. That's impressive because
I have good friends that help me, not just with work, with like mental. They're there for me,
that's great.
and they're like, Chris, this is now your time on the stage. Do your best. Just do your best. You get it. And I was like, they're right. And now we make like this every quarter of the year.
I mean that's. I'm trying to do the maths. That's
A lot.
a lot. Yeah.
Let's do it like a lot. Okay.
So I'm guessing if it keeps going like this, then you'll need more staff. You'll need more
Yeah.
growing company.
Yeah, but I think it's the point reached where I don't want to have like really more, not like twice as more, like just like 20% of more, because then is everything big, but still safe. Because if you get more employees, you need more money too.
Yeah.
You will get poorer if you get richer. And now it's like a point where it's like, okay, just like a bit more, like a few orders more, then we have a certain point where like everything is paid and nobody has to fear something. We can order like parts because they get cheaper when you order more, but we can still do that without putting the money from something else, you know?
Yeah.
It's like you don't have to struggle, like, you know, if you're...
It's not a risk every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not there anymore. And it would be cool if it's every time super safe, you know?
Yeah. It's a good place to be in.
Yeah. And I don't care about being the richest guy in my city or whatever. I don't have a car, you know? It's not necessary really to be like super successful, because with the stuff I made, I won't be. I'm the wrong business for that, for being rich. So I want to make like living my freaky life for as long as possible, you know?
Yeah, of course.
Way more important.
And up till now, I think you've done fantastically with that. So it's a good place to say thank you and
Okay.
looking forward to what you do next.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
And so that was a fascinating interview with Chris Jupiter. Thanks everybody for watching, and stay tuned for the next one. We've got a few coming up with Rev Amps, Orange Amps, PJD Guitars, who are now the biggest guitar manufacturer in the UK, and they kind of sprang up from nothing over the last 10 years. We've got more planned. There's one with Cloud microphones coming up. If there's anybody you want to see on the podcast, send us a message as well. We'll see if we can make it happen. But for now, thanks everybody. If you wouldn't mind leaving us a review on iTunes, that'd be great. If you're watching this on the video version, subscribe, all that kind of, you know what the drill is by now. Thanks everybody, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.